Hi guys, it's Cindy Leach, your Polymer Clay tutor. In today's PCT mini toot, we're going to learn the secrets to rolling the perfect swirly lentil bead. Now, these are made with polymer clay and they are super addictive to make. And I have done many tutorials on lentil beads. And I just thought I would do an update because I haven't done one for a while now. Now, lentil beads, these swirly lentil beads can be made with all kinds of different things. They can be made with canes and scrap clay and all kinds of stuff. I have a bowl of old lentil beads in here. Some of them are beautiful and some are quite terrible. And because there are some tips and tricks to making a decent swirly lentil. Now, you can make them large. You can make them small. Oh, where's the small one? There's little ones in here. You can make them with scrap clay, or you can make them with canes, like this one here was made using some of the mod cane, and I'm actually going to show you how to make that. You can make them pointy, or you can make them flat and squashed out. Now, both of these I wouldn't consider very beautiful for a couple of reasons. This one I didn't swirl very well. This is probably one of my very first ones that I made years and years ago. And this one, there's almost no contrast in the color, so it just really gets lost in there, even though it is kind of cool. It can be done in lots of different ways. Also, if you do it a little off, you can end up with one that is quite oval looking, like this one here. You can see it's quite oval looking, and it really depends on the angle and a whole bunch of little neat things. So the first thing I'm going to do is just show you what you need. I'm going to do the first one with a piece of scrap clay. This is from the nautical anchor cane. And I just took a chunk of the end and just rolled it into a ball. And you'll want to make sure that the clay you're using, that you roll it into a ball and that there aren't any big cracks and that kind of thing in it, because that will show up later. And this is what the bead will look like, or similar anyways, once it's rolled into the lentil. And you'll need to work on a smooth surface. Don't work on a rough surface, because you need the surface to be smooth so that it isn't causing too much drag, and I'll explain that in a second. And then you need a top surface that you can work the clay with. Now, I've got a bunch of different options here, and whatever works for you is good. This is a piece of, what's it called? It's a stamp block. So it's an acrylic block for sticking cling stamps to. You can get them at Michael's or craft stores or wherever you want. And this works perfectly because it's a nice size and you can see through it, and it's a smooth surface. You can also use a piece of plexiglass. This is a piece that was from my bead rack from a long time ago. This is the one I'm going to use today because it's big enough and I can get my hands out of the way so that you can really see the process. You can use, this is a little acrylic sheet that comes in the Sculpey bead making kit. So if you're around Michael's or whatever, they have a interesting little kit that has like a bead reamer and a little roller, and it had a blade in there. I think I took it out already, and a cutter and this little plastic disc. That works great. Or you could just use a CD CD case. Make sure to use the smooth side, and you can use that. Some people use glass, from a picture frame with tape around the edges. I'd just rather use something plastic. It will be less chance of it breaking if you're pushing on it. All right, so the process of this is quite simple, but you need to do it right, otherwise it turns out all wonky. And there's a few principles. So I've rolled this out. It's nice and warm. There's no cracks in it anymore. And I've got my clear sheet here ready to go, and I'm putting my fingers down on the glass, right, so that they sit like little table legs. And you want them so that they're just sitting perfectly level, so this surface is nice and flat. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be making a little circles on the table with your fingers. I'm not pressing down too hard. I'm keeping the top surface flat, and I'm just going around and around and around. The bigger the circle I do, the more of a bicone shape it becomes. The harder I press down, it will squash out. Also, if you do the circles too small, then it just becomes flatter and flatter in the center. But to get the swirl happening, so I'm always going in the same direction. So if I'm going counterclockwise, I have to make sure that I just keep going counterclockwise. If I switch directions, the swirl will get pulled in the opposite direction. So I'm just going around and around. First, I'm just getting my shape, and I'm being very careful not to tilt the flat plastic here. And I'm just keeping it flat and even. You can go fast or slow, it doesn't matter that much. I'm going to go a little bit faster. And it works on dragging. It's a friction thing. So the top surface and the bottom surface are dragging on the clay, mostly in the center. Now, it's taken me a bit here, but you can see it's going to start twisting towards the center. So, and that's because in the center, the clay is getting dragged around and around and around, and around the outside edges, it's not getting dragged on as quickly. So you can see it's starting to form here. Let me just go a little faster. Now, see how it becomes, if it turns into an oval, you can press down on the longer side a little harder and a little lighter, and you can just keep going until you get it round again. Like that. And you can see, if I press down in the center, you can see that the center is starting to swirl. That. And on the back side, it's starting to swirl as well. It will take several times to go around and around for it to get a really nice swirl on both sides. Now, the neat thing about doing something like this one here, now the way it works, because there's the friction is happening on the top side and the bottom side right at the highest points. So like I said, as it's getting twisted around, the color's kind of getting dragged and smeared around. But on the outside edge, it's slowly getting sucked towards the middle, kind of like a little vortex. So whatever's in the middle of your design will get sucked in, and whatever's on the outside, it will come wrap up around. So I'll show you. It's very obvious when you do something like this. So I've just got a piece of scrap clay here. Happens to be a pretty pink color, but it won't matter that much. And I have some pieces of leftover mod cane. And I did a little mini toot on that a little while ago, so you can check that out if you want to learn how to make these. But I'm just going to take these little sections and wrap them around the outside, and they're fairly thick. I would say they are about, at least 1/8 of an inch or a couple millimeters thick. And I'm going around the equator of this bead here. See that? Now I'm just going to kind of roll it in a bit just to make sure it's nice and stuck on there. Now watch what will happen when I start doing the lentil on here. So I'm going to make sure that it's around the equator and I've got the plain color in the center. And as I start wrapping around, you can see that the edges kind of start, and see how that outside, those spots are starting to come towards the middle. And they're just getting drawn up. And actually on the opposite side, they're doing exactly the opposite. So they're getting drawn down. And eventually, as we get going here, they'll start pulling to the center and start swirling. Now this is very soft clay in the center, so I'm getting it into an oval. So what I should do, just keep going here, try to keep it as even as possible, and watch it just swirl towards the center. Look at, and that pink is starting to disappear. And that's why it doesn't really matter what you put on the inside. See that just pulling and pulling and pulling, and it gets really, it's super fun. In fact, that's why I have a big bowl of them. Even when I wasn't sure of how to do it properly, I kept trying and trying and trying until I could get it right. See that? So I'll just kind of, and you would want to let this rest for a while. Do a quick roll again, and then to see, get the shape back in. Because once it gets really warm, it becomes a little soft, and you can get fingerprints and stuff on it real easy. See that? And then we'll check out the other side. And it's starting to swirl really nicely too. All right. So remember, with the lentil, you want to keep your fingers as even as possible. This top plate as level as possible. No tilting this way or this way. You want to keep your circles nice and even. Too big of a circle will make it super pointy. Too small of a circle will make it squashed and flat. The colors come from the outside and get swirled towards the inside. So remember that when you're placing canes or any kind of pattern onto your beginning lentil bead. All right, I hope that was helpful for you and explained a little bit more about the process of making lentil beads. If you would like to learn how to put the holes into the beads, leave a comment as a suggestion, and I will see about making a video about that in the future. And if you have any other subjects that you don't understand in regards to polymer clay, then make sure to check out the videos that we have. We have done tons of videos, and you can see if we've done a video for you on that already. And if not, you can also suggest a video that we can make in the future. All right. So we'll see you next time, and bye for now.